If you're a veteran drawing VA disability compensation, or you're the spouse of one, there's a change moving through the VA right now that could quietly reshape how 4 of the most commonly claimed conditions get rated hearing loss and tinnitus. Breathing conditions like sleep apnea. Mental health conditions like PTSD and depression, and nerve and neurological conditions. Some VA officials have pointed toward an October 1st target for getting these finalized, though as I'll explain in a minute, that date is not locked in stone yet. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which of these 4 changes could raise your rating, which ones could lower it, and this is the part almost nobody explains clearly whether your current rating is even at risk at all. What you're hearing about right now is proposed, not finalized. The VA has been working on updating its rating schedule called the VA SRD for well over a decade. Back in February of 2022, VA published proposed changes covering hearing and ear conditions and breathing and respiratory conditions along with mental health. Then, in late 2024, a separate proposal came out for nerve and neurological conditions, including seizure disorders. Congress has heard testimony on all of this, and there's been talk that VA wants these finalized around the start of the next fiscal year, which is October 1st. But as of this recording, no final rule with a locked effective date has been published in the Federal Register. Right now, if you have tinnitus, that ringing or buzzing in your ears, you can file for it as its own standalone condition and get a 10% rating, separate from any hearing loss you might have. Under the proposed change, that standalone tinnitus rating goes away in most cases. Instead, tinnitus would be folded in as a symptom of whatever's causing it, usually hearing loss or a traumatic brain injury. If your hearing loss rate's at 0%, meaning it's not severe enough to be compensable on its own, you could still get a 10% bump for tinnitus under a new provision. But if your hearing loss already earns you a compensable rating, no extra tinnitus rating stacks on top. For veterans who've used tinnitus as their entry point into the VA system, and there are hundreds of thousands of them, this changes the math significantly. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to Golden Wealth Mindset for the latest VA benefits updates, and let me know in the comments, where are you watching from today? Right now, if a doctor prescribes you a CPAP machine for sleep apnea, you automatically get rated at 50%. It doesn't matter if the machine works great and you barely notice symptoms anymore, the prescription alone triggers that rating. For a single veteran with no dependents, that's worth over $1,100 a month in 2026. Under the proposed system, that automatic 50% disappears. Instead, you'd be rated on how well your treatment actually controls your symptoms. If your sleep apnea is well managed and you're basically asymptomatic, you could drop to 10%. The 30% tier would be eliminated too, meaning veterans would cluster more heavily at either the very low end or the very high end, with less room in the middle. Before we go further, if you're finding this useful, go ahead and hit that like button. And subscribe. It genuinely helps more veterans and retirees find videos like this instead of getting their information from rumors online. Now, back to the details, because the next one is actually good news for a lot of people. Right now, PTSD, depression, anxiety, and similar conditions are rated using pretty vague, subjective language about how your symptoms affect your occupational and social functioning. Raters have a lot of room for interpretation, and that inconsistency has frustrated veterans for years. The new proposed system replaces that with 5 specific, measurable areas: how you think and process information, how you interact with others, how well you complete tasks, how you navigate your environment and daily life, and how you manage self-care. Each area gets scored 0 through 4 based on your actual functioning. Here's the detail that matters most. The current 0% rating for mental health goes away entirely. Under the new system, any service-connected mental health diagnosis gets a guaranteed minimum of 10%. And reaching 100% becomes more achievable too. You'd need a level 4 in just one of those 5 areas, or a level 3 in 2 or more, rather than needing to prove near total occupational impairment the way you often do now. Now, nerves and neurological conditions, this is the piece that gets the least attention. But it affects veterans with things like peripheral neuropathy, migraines, and seizure disorders. The stated goal here, same as the others, is to replace outdated medical terminology and rating criteria with language that reflects how these conditions are actually diagnosed and treated today. VA hasn't finalized specific numbers here the way it has with sleep apnea or mental health. So if anyone tells you exactly what your neuropathy rating will look like under the new system, take that with a grain of salt. Those details haven't been locked down publicly yet. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to Golden Wealth Mindset for the latest VA benefits updates. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from today? People assume that if these changes take effect, their current rating automatically drops. That's not how it works. Every serious source on this, including veteran advocacy groups, has confirmed that veterans with existing ratings would be grandfathered in. Your rating doesn't get pulled out from under you just because the rules changed. The place where things get complicated is if you file a new claim or if you file for an increase on an existing rating after the new rules take effect. At that point, examiners may evaluate your entire condition, not just the new symptoms under the updated criteria. So a veteran who's protected today could unknowingly expose their whole rating to reevaluation by filing for an increase at the wrong time. If you have a condition among these four that you've been thinking about filing for, maybe you've had tinnitus for years and never got around to claiming it, or you suspect sleep apnea but haven't been formally diagnosed yet, there's a specific tool that can protect you regardless of when these rules finally take effect. It's called an intent to file. Submitting one doesn't require you to have all your paperwork ready. It simply locks in a potential effective date for up to 1 year while you gather evidence, get evaluations, and build your claim. If the new rules go into effect while you're in that window, there's a real argument to be made that your claim should still be evaluated fairly close to when you declared intent. Though I want to be honest with you, VA hasn't published official guidance confirming exactly how transition claims will be handled, so don't treat this as a guarantee. What it does guarantee is that you're not sitting on the sidelines doing nothing while a rule with real financial consequences moves closer to reality. One more thing worth knowing, because it shows just how unpredictable this process can be. Back in February of this year, VA actually published a rule that would have let examiners reduce ratings based on how well medication controlled your symptoms, essentially ignoring how bad your condition would be without treatment. Veterans, advocacy groups, and members of Congress from both parties pushed back hard, and within about a week, VA rescinded it. That tells you two things. First, these rules are not set in stone until they're actually finalized and published with an effective date. And second, public pressure and congressional oversight genuinely do influence outcomes here. This isn't a done deal you have no control over. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to Golden Wealth Mindset for the latest VA benefits updates. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from today? So let's bring this all together. 4 body systems are under proposed revision hearing and tinnitus, breathing conditions like sleep apnea, mental health, and nerve conditions. Mental health looks like it could get easier to rate fairly and accurately. Sleep apnea and tinnitus could get harder, especially for new claims. Nerve condition specifics are still developing, and no matter what you've heard about an October 1st date, treat that as a possible target, not a confirmed fact, until VA actually publishes a final rule in the Federal Register. Your existing rating is protected under grandfathering, so there's no need to panic about compensation you already receive. But if you've been putting off a claim for tinnitus, sleep apnea, a mental health condition, or a neurological issue, the smartest move you can make this week is to at least file an intent to file with the VA, or start gathering your medical evidence now, while the current, more favorable rules are still in place. It costs you nothing, and it protects your options. You've earned these benefits, and staying informed is one of the best ways to make sure you keep every dollar you're entitled to. I'll keep watching this process closely and let you know the moment anything actually becomes official, so you're never left guessing. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.